What is going on? And Happy New Year, everybody. Just give me a minute. Had to install an update. We're going to get it going in just a second. One moment. I want to be able to look at my chat. Get it going in here. Get some vibes going. That'll do for now. All right. What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. And welcome to episode 2 of the Lead Poison live stream. Tonight, I'm going to be doing a commission piece that came in via my Etsy store. It's going to be Colossus of the X-Men. Right? I haven't done a Colossus in quite a long time. And I have my general composition already worked out for it. And this piece all on its own won't be too complicated. It's going to be black and white. But I'm just going to lay in some general line work here with my pencil, and then, the rest of it, all the polish, as it were, is going to go in with the ink. So tonight I'm going to be using some Sumi ink, a watercolor brush, and maybe some white ink, just so I can get some nice metallic glaze. My boy right here. So without further ado, pencil is sharp, and we can begin. Hoping you guys had a great holiday season. And the New Year is off to a good start. Let's get it going. So I laid in some some very general lines here with my blue pencil, just so I can kind of build my composition. Right, keep it loose. A lot of the tightening, like I mentioned, is going to be with the ink. So this image is inspired by a statue, a really cool statue reference of the character. So this is my interpretation of the piece. We've got some hand wraps here. Make those nice and tattered when I get into the inking process. Slowly just kind of drop in some very general lines. Just to give myself a bit of a roadmap. Colossus, if I'm not mistaken, he's got bands. They're like parts on the back of his hand that resemble the bones in your knuckles. We'll do that real light. This image of Colossus is wearing a tank top. I'm just gonna very loosely drop in like some wrinkles here, apply some of the ab muscles, right? Like it's form fitting, but it's not like tight. Get a little belt in there. What's going on, Phil? Happy New Year to you. Yes, absolutely. This is definitely one of your faves. That's why I had to stream this on FB so that you can check out the art. I'm gonna give him a small X symbol right there in the belt buckle. Now the image itself is is gonna be Colossus, in tattered clothes, standing on the head, the decapitated head of a sentinel. So this will be a fun little piece. I'm gonna have his other hand sort of like crushing a mechanism from the sentinel. And then we're gonna have like some dust, some debris. We'll make it feel really cinematic. Once again, Happy New Year, everybody popping in on the stream. We're broadcasting live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this Monday night. I'm hoping that your new year is off to a pretty decent start. Ears in there. I've always been a fan of the more chiseled, more angular look of Colossus. Like I've always envisioned him as more of a like a like a comic version of Arnold Schwarzenegger in his heyday. So I'm kind of channeling the way Arnie looked in Commando for this. Right? The low brow. Bridge of the nose in there. One of the fun aspects of illustrating Colossus is playing around with the terminal lines that make him look shiny, but sort of capture his chiseled physique. Get in here. Bit light. See that a little better. A lot of this is all just very preliminary. I'm basically giving myself a little bit of a roadmap to follow when I start adding my inks. Make them nice and shiny. Get those wrinkles in the pens. Some tears in there. One of the other fun aspects that I enjoy about drawing this character is how defined he is, right? Like, it's not like bulkier characters, right? Like, say, Juggernaut or Hulk, right? Where they tend to embellish, the physique a bit. I mean, everything is embellished in comics, right? But, you know, Colossus, right? Especially when it goes into his metal form, like, you can get a really good sense for how well an artist knows, like, muscular anatomy. Because it's closer to real life, in my opinion. The big boots in there. Some dust clouds. Let's move that away just a little bit so we can see it. Now, in this hand, I'm going to illustrate a lot of debris, right? Like he's like crushing a mechanism that was part of the Sentinel in his left hand. You guys a wider scope of that. All right. Get more of the wraps in there. Knuckle. And then the index. All right, so then we'll throw some like cables. Maybe like some shattered glass or lens right here. Some debris. this way. Some of it falling out from behind and here. Got some more cables. Big piece of metal here. Some glass shards. Like this part right here, it's all jazz. I'm improvising this, right? I did want to do something with the left hand, but just kind of improvising it. Rob Powers is in the building. Shout out to Rob Powers, guys. If you haven't done so already, I'm broadcasting this on my YouTube, on my Twitch, and on Facebook. Follow Def Shogun on all platforms. He's an incredible cartoonist. Love his coloring style, and the mashups that he comes up with. Very, very like imaginative stuff. Shout out to him. Happy New Year to you, brother. Happy New Year to you and your family, man. So I'm not gonna overdo it because a lot of this is just kind of noise, right? So from here, I'm gonna render in this other leg really quick. Right, kind of get the twist in the fabric. That's real important. And then start to render a little bit of the sentinel head that I have down here at the base. All right, a lot of the shadows I'm not going to drop in yet. I'm going to do that straight up with the ink, but I have a general sense of where my shadows are going to drop, where my highlights are going to hit. Really, this is just to kind of give myself a little bit of a roadmap to follow, so I can pull out my nib and brush. Now in here, this is going to be the mouth of my sentinel, right? I like the idea of there being like a cannon right there in the mouth of the sentinel, right? Then get some of those symmetrical forms around the cheek. This will be the big boxy nose. I mean, a lot of the focus is going to go into Colossus himself, so I'm not going to go into too much detail with the sentinel. But I am going to show a lot of the little mechanical parts and like the openings here, right? Because I'm implying here that like Colossus kind of ripped out the eye lens from this sentinel, right, and like crushes it in his hand. So we're going to get a little bit of steam in here, right? We'll have the edge of the head there. More steam there. Then kind of give like a misty silhouette. Colossus other leg on the outside of the head there. Have you streaming and whatnot? You can auction your pieces off while you work. I changed my life. I was saying affiliate. Like I've been on whatnot for like 2 years. And I basically took off from whatnot for about maybe 6 months because of of a book project that I got on uh, mid last year. But then I started streaming again. I think it was last week, and like yeah, dude. Like I was happy to see that like a lot of people like still remembered me, and you know, I stream on Whatnot every Friday at I think 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm on Whatnot. I haven't tried auctioning off anything yet, but for sure, I have discounts on some pre-existing stuff. They can commission me on Whatnot as well. Some books. I'm gonna have some more books up on Whatnot. And yeah, dude, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. I just have to be consistent at it. That's my issue, the consistency, because schedules can get kind of crazy, and like midweek, midweek I got time for nothing because it's like I got I got classes every evening, straight through to Sunday. So like Mondays and Fridays are the only days that I can really like stream. So now let's get a big hunk of metal back here and throw a little dent in that metal. All right. This piece isn't going to be super, super complicated. It's not going to be like normally do. This is only a 9. This is only a 9 by 12. Oh yeah, for sure, dude. I think. Hold on, let me confirm that. 'Cause if I'm not mistaken, it should still be Wildings Ken on Whatnot. Let me confirm that. Yes, it is wild underscore. Well, it's like my Instagram handle on the bottom of the screen there. Wildings Ken on Whatnot. And for those of you tuning in, Def Shogun also on Whatnot. Yeah, y'all got to check his work out. His work is super super fun. I'm gonna drop in just some loose shadows here, right? Just so that the message of this being like a down sentinel is clear. Right. And get some little mechanisms in here, like some little pistons or something. Yeah, that works. That works. Appreciate you. I'm definitely gonna. Matter of fact, when I have my phone on me now, I think I already follow you. Hold on. Do I follow Def? I definitely follow Def. Def you gun. Where is he? There he is. Boom. But yeah, whatnot's a lot of fun. It's just again, the consistency, especially when you're on a project. Deadlines can be a bit of a boner killer. Let's bend this metal back just a little bit. Get some creases here in the metal. Like I was saying, this is just a 9 by 12. This piece is going to be black and white. Um, and because this piece is going to be black and white, I'm always going to be inclined to do a little bit of a gray wash with the ink, just so that things feel a bit more cinematic. You know, leave it up to your boy to give you a little more bang for your buck. Right? For those of you that aren't aware, if you guys go to my link tree on my Instagram, at the very, very tippy top of all those links, you'll find a Kickstarter link for the next Kickstarter campaign that I am involved in. It is issue 2 of the Mad Camps, published by Philbo Publishing, and I am the artist that illustrated the official cover for issue 2. So you guys want to make sure that you sign up to be notified when that campaign goes live. You don't want to miss it, because if I know Philbo, he's gonna fill the campaign chock full of goodies. Doing a lot more traditional stuff on whatnot. Humbled me, but I'm starting to get the hang of it. Like 6 months. Look, dude, I can tell you straight up that doing more traditional will only strengthen your digital. You know what I'm saying? That like working traditional, and it's one of the reasons why sure I could do digital, but I'm always gonna come back to the traditional stuff. Reason being, right? That when you're working traditional, you're organically working out certain art muscles. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like someone who ends up in the hospital, and they're like they haven't used their legs in like 3 months. Those muscles kind of like resorb into themselves. They get atrophy, and essentially they have to relearn how to walk again. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, do the digital stuff, and digital is great. Then this is just my opinion, right? Digital is great if it's for like corporate reasons, right? Like if you're up against the wall for a deadline, and you got to bang something out quick. Cool. Digital will get it done in a timely manner. You but for for the sake of you as an artist, as an individual, as a creative, you want to make sure that you keep your art muscles strong. You know what I'm saying? So, and you do that simply by dedicating 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes to an hour a day to doing something traditional. And it doesn't even need to be anything finished. You know what I'm saying? And like you'll see, because even those little moments where you don't have time to do like a whole finished piece, you know what I'm saying? Like it still serves as what I like to call like art push up. It keeps the muscle awake. You know what I mean? And it's little things like that as creative, we can't lose sight of. You know, I'm in a project right now, right, where I have to. I'm going to be doing a lot of digital color. I'm going to be doing a lot of like lettering and so on and so forth. But I'm doing all the line art traditional, because I don't want to become over reliant on the tools, right? Because like the apps make it super easy, to like, you know, like they become a crutch. Put it like that. Like they become a crutch. And then it's like, and I've seen it with other guys. I've seen it with guys that I've met recently that, they're beasts on a computer, beasts as digital artists. But then, when the pandemic hit, and they were kind of like forced to sort of diversify, how they create. Now they kind of look like newborn baby deers in front of a piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? And you can see a big difference from what they produce digitally, and how I guess, lack of a better phrase, how manufactured it is versus something they've done traditional. You know what I mean? That, like, to hear that you started doing more traditional stuff, man, that makes me super happy. That makes me very happy because you do really dope work. You know what I mean? And like, you want to make sure that you keep that muscle strong. You know. So here I'm gonna go in with some Sumi ink and my dip pen, my handy dandy dip pen. Right? I love this thing. This dip pen goes with me to every convention, every pop up. I bring it with me to my art classes so that I can teach my kids how to use these. Right. Every so often I'll use a micron, but these right here, top tier. Ever since I was exposed to using these in all of my traditional work, it's been it's shot the quality of my stuff up a whole other level. More like this. Welcome. And little designer or branding, even digital colors for Yeah, yeah. When it comes to that, see, like I got a lot of kids in my class that bring their iPads to my class and so forth, and it's cool, because you wanna make sure that you use, like, the digital aspect of creating as another medium, right? Not as the only way to create. You know what I'm saying? That, like, you want to make sure that you keep that proficiency up. You want to be able to create in all kinds of circumstances and not limit yourself. That's one of the things that sets us as creatives apart from everyone else in every other craft. We can create from basically nothing or create derivatives, from our, with whatever raw materials we have on hand. You know what I'm saying? Going every week, sketch covers, sketch cards, and art pieces traditional. It's been a learning experience. Yeah, dude. Yeah, the one thing I will always recommend any, like, a veteran and even somebody who's new that's coming up, never pigeonhole yourself. You know what I mean? That it wasn't until maybe a little after the pandemic that that I started to paint my work. Before that, I was always all micron, all marker, all colored pencil. You know, After the pandemic, I picked up this quill. I started painting my work. I do a lot of watercolor now. I picked up a little bit of gouache. You know what I'm saying? So, and you'll see that it elevates the work. You know that I can see a lot of what you do, like, done on big canvases with acrylic. Done with acrylic markers because it's very illustrative. It's very bright. It's very poppy. You know what I mean? And that's a huge strength. been using copy markers, but I'm about to go in on some watercolors. So copy markers. So like okay, so like the way that I paint my work with watercolor, it's very similar to how I color with copy marker, right? However, the principle of how you would work digitally when it comes to like building up your layers, that carries over as well, right? So the principle of like dropping, like blocking in your colors, all your flat colors, right? And then building up your shadows and adding highlights and so on and so forth, like as you layer on top of your local colors, that applies. So when I use watercolor, I don't use it in a way where it's very transparent like stained glass. I like layering on heavy washes of watercolor. You know, that watercolor is a lot of fun because of its diversity, right? That there's different techniques that you can implement to get different effects with watercolor. I mean, there's a lot of limitations as well because you can't go from dark to light in most cases, but depending on what you're doing, there's ways around it. Let's get some of these wrinkles in here. Jim, welcome. Happy New Year to you, Jim. You just layer it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like let me see. Let me pull this out real quick. Like I just did this sketch card. I did this last Friday on Whatnot. This is all watercolor and some sumi ink. Right? So if you go back and you watch that stream, it all started with flat colors, and then slowly I built up some warmer values so I could get the the shapes in Batman's face. Played around with different tones, the same way you would mix your colors with Copic, right? Because you can see some hits of purple, some navy blue in the cowl and in the cape, right? In the gray, in the gray in the suit here, right? That's a washed out black. I hit it with a little bit of that same um, navy blue, a little bit washed out there, so I can get some drop shadows. You know what I mean? And then like those highlights that you see in Batman's face, I'm hoping the camera focuses. Those highlights, that's little hits of white watercolor, right? The white watercolor won't sit opaque. It'll basically blend into whatever the local color is, giving you a soft highlight, almost like if there was reflective light on something covered in plastic. Thank you. Yes, those are some of my branded sketch cards. Sketch cards are always available for commission. They don't take very long to knock out. That one I did live on my Whatnot stream last Friday. I did it from beginning to end, much like this Colossus that I'm working on right now. So this part of the process is one of my favorites. Right? I find this really relaxing, almost as relaxing as painting. This is Sumi. This is a Sumi ink that I use. Right. This dries really quick. So, like, say for example, I'm at a show and I get commissioned to do a piece at a show, right? And if I'm strapped for time, I can lay my blacks in first, and then go over it with watercolor, and it won't smear. But like in this particular case, I'm not going to be coloring this, but I am going to be adding a little bit of a gray wash to it. But Sumi ink for me is top tier because it gives you like the truest, like a really true black. India ink tends to stay wet longer, but it's not as, what's the word? It's not as opaque, right? It's not as like black as it could be. Yeah, so Sumi's top tier, dude. Top tier. That a couple years ago I illustrated a manga, and half of that manga I used deleter ink, and in the later half of the book I switched to Sumi, and Sumi gives me the best, like the better results, simply because it won't clog on the nib, and it flows so much better, so much better. Let me get this eye in real quick. Oh, dude, watch. Watch. Yeah, the shading in the metal, it's a little trick that I picked up, after using ink for so long, after using like dip ink. You'll see. I need to get some Sumi ink. I need to get some Sumi ink. Yeah, dude. Like Sumi ink in that bottle, this bottle right here, this is the big bottle. This bottle's under $15 on Amazon, and I usually buy a couple at a time, and they last me, right? Because as I ink, for example, I got these little cups, right, just so I can dip, and then I keep another cup right next to it for the water. And once you're done, you could always pour the unused ink back into the bottle, you know, so you're not wasting any ink. Now these are just going to be some of my more mechanical lines, right? To pull out some of these like harder shapes in Colossus's face. And I am a fan of using the broken line. Right, like I broke the line up over here. I broke the line up over here on the top of the head, right, to convey that that's where my highlights are going to hit. Let's get a little bit of the brown there, and a little bit of the chin coming up. Right, those are little techniques that I picked up watching other guys like work in their process. Because I would wonder like why certain artists like do certain things when they do like comic art, and it made sense to me in the end, like when they were done. So that broken line is to basically communicate highlight in the top of it, or rather at the peak of a curve. Is that the best brand of Sumi to use? So the this particular one works for me. The red cap, right? There's different ones with different color caps, and I haven't tried the other ones. I did try one that was black. It was a black cap that was okay, but it's better if you use it with a brush like this one. This one is better if you use it with a brush because this clogs my nib because it dries too fast. So, like if you're inking something down and like me, right? And you're anything like me and you're just kind of like thinking as you ink, right? To make sure things are kind of communicating the way you want them to, it'll dry up in the nib, right? And then you got to dip and then I keep like an old toothbrush to kind of clean the nib and then re-dip the ink. But with that particular brand of Sumi, it's been the best. Like I haven't encountered any issues with that. I guess it really depends on what you would need it for, right? But that one, the one with the red cap, the one that I showed you, that one, like for me, it's the most versatile. Because I use like this isn't like Bristol. This is your standard like mixed media. But on Bristol, it's beautiful. On mixed media, I mean, you can see it for yourself. Like the line art is like 4K gorgeous. So, I mean, there is a little bit of a learning curve if you've never used a quill before. But once you get the hang of it, man, like there'll be no other like way to ink for you. Like I picked up a micron for the first time in like 2 years yesterday, and it was because I was kind of like pressed for time on a drawing, and I didn't want to like break out my ink. But outside of that, if I'm not on a time crunch, this is the way to ink for me. Yeah, yeah. The thing is, so Copic liners, Micron, same deal, right? But see, with this is the all-in-one, right? Because this responds to pressure. So it's like if I go really, really light, I'll get a really light line weight. But if I apply pressure, it gets heavier. And then it's like, if you got a really good pressure, as you hatch, you'll get those crisp manga lines. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a G nib. This is the one that's used for manga. Never use brown ink in shot glasses. You might accidentally take the sword. Yes, yes. I think we've all at one point or another uh, have accidentally uh, had a sip of paint water or ink water, right? If your beverage is too close to your work area. I never use a quill. I'm nervous, dude. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me, this is next level. Next level. Like the crispiness of the line art that you'll produce with this, the scratch, that satisfying scratchy sound in the paper, dog. It's like art ASMR. Hey, how's it going, Emily? Happy New Year to you. Does it scratch up the paper? I do a lot of sketch covers. So no, because this is pressure responsive, you don't have to apply a lot of pressure to this, so it doesn't scratch up the paper. In fact, what it does is after your line art is in, right, and your lines are dry, the lines dry raised, so you can run your finger along all your line art and you can feel the bumps of like where you apply your lines. It's dope. It's next level precision, so it's like it'll only scratch up your paper if you're holding it wrong, if you're like not holding it properly, but then you are liable to like make a mess if you're not holding it right. So the scratchy noise that you hear is like because the tip of the nib is two prongs, right? So when you apply the slightest bit of pressure, the prongs kind of open up a little bit, allowing the ink to flow. So it's kind of like getting a tattoo, So like the tattoo needle is moving back and forth, right? But it's the vibration of the needle running across the surface of your skin that distributes the ink, right? So as you use the nib across the tooth of the page, that vibration like basically encourages the ink to flow out of the tip. So it's I highly recommend it. As a matter of fact, off stream, I'll hit you with a link, with an Amazon link to this particular one. This brand is Tachikawa, right? These things are indestructible. And then the nibs, I'll send you a link to the nibs as well. This is a commission, yes. This is indeed a commission in progress. Once again, thank you to everybody popping in on the stream. I'm hoping that you guys are having if anything, a peaceful start to your 2025. Hoping that you guys had a great holiday season. I appreciate you spending this little bit of your Monday evening with your boy. I'm gonna do my absolute best to stream more so on a consistent basis. I've been really busy with an indie book project, but I still get little commissions that that I can do on stream with you guys. After talking to the client, if the client doesn't mind, I'll do the commissions live. So here things are going to get a little tricky because I'm going to get that little bit of foreshortening in the arm, the wraps, and then there's a lot of debris here because I'm having Colossus like crush something here. All right, bring that thumb up. And get some pieces here that'll overlap a little bit to kind of make it feel a bit more convincing. Some more solid pieces, sort of cascading out of the palm here. Cables. Get a bit of his fingers kind of like crushing the mechanism in his hand. Bear with me if I get a little quiet in these in those little tiny areas. I gotta focus. Have some debris kind of popping out of his hand here. And that's the thumb. A little more ink. I didn't realize my big old head was in my fault. Let's get a little closer. So some of these little areas, I'm gonna hatch them in so that it pushes them into the background a little bit. And just so that we start to create a little bit of depth with a lot of the debris that he's crushing with his hand. Get that finger joint. A little bit of the flag in here. A lot of this is the more tedious part, making this part feel convincing, like he's like crushing something here, maybe like a little screw.
This is more of the improv. Right? Throw another little screw here. Maybe a nut. So now, just gonna finish off the leg. Right. So most of the line art is already done. Right here because this is going to be covered up with some debris, some dusty debris. I'm going to break up my line a little bit. All right. Give him a muscle tone in here. Johnny, what's up? Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Let's see. Down here, I'm going to add just some wear into the edges of the metal here, right? Some chips, so that it looks like Colossus and this Sentinel were in battle. So next there, because that's going to drop into shadow. Make that line a bit heavier. Here. A little chip on the lip. It's going to be black. A little cannon here. All right. Here's some of these features in of the Sentinel's face. We're good. We are good. You know, out here grinding. I'm sure you know how it is. I'm hoping you guys are doing well up there too. get right in. So this will be the eye socket. Just a little bit. The eye socket. A little board up the sentinel. Put a little wear on the edges. Push a little shadow in there. This is just to kind of add a little bit of texture to the metal on the Sentinel's face, adding some dents, right, to imply that it wasn't a battle. I'm gonna drop that in black. And push some debris here, a little bit here. Edge of the helmet there. We'll give it the brim right there. All right. Now, in these little, I'm gonna add these little dust particles and break up my lines in the middle of these dust clouds. All right, so these little areas in between the dust clouds, I'm gonna fill those in with a bit of black. Right. So it helps kind of like frame the artwork. Oh, it's cold over there, huh? Man, I don't know what cold weather feels like anymore. I've been out here in this Miami weather for so long. I don't know what cold weather feels like no more. But the coldest it gets down here is like high 50s. And that's freezing for Miami. Because it's at that point that all the native Miami residents like start breaking out the bubble gooses. Let's see. This is gonna be dropping black. Let's get some of these little details behind him in. And then I'm gonna switch out to the brush for my grays. And then after the grays are in, I'll drop in the blacks. This little element right here is something that I picked up watching David Finch. He would say that one of the struggles that he would encounter as an artist is drawing things, mechanical things, in a very convincing way, right? And I felt him on that because it's like, how do you draw machinery, and you're not like an engineer or something, you know what I'm saying? But you do it in a convincing way, you know. So then I got into watching uh, very technical guys, right? Draw machinery, very very like complicated, uh, like cyberpunk looking work, and it's really the process of um, honing in on like one part, one small part, and then like etching in another moving part. It sounds complicated, but like, you know, if you watch an artist do it, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? And communicate your lines is also really important, right? You got to make sure that your lines look mechanical. By mechanical, I mean straight, so as straight as possible, right? That even guys like Kim Jong Il, who rest in peace, that dude was a monster with the way he would just draw very intentional line work. The dude was a machine. That's tropical weather for us. Right now it's 24 degrees. You got to come back and feel it. Ah, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm good. Right now, I can tell you. Let's see how hot it is right now. Right now, Miami, it's 70 degrees. 70 degrees. And this is springtime weather for us right now. 70 degrees. I am good. I don't miss the cold at all. So I'm gonna add some more little dust particles. We are almost done with these smaller little details back here. Let's get some of these general shapes in as well. So this will be like another panel. Get this little groove in here. Make the metal feel like it's been folded. Some dents, some wear, some chips on the edges. this part, this is going to go further back. Right. And right in here, yes, I did see that I like dripped a little bit of ink there, but that's going to get covered up anyway. That's going to be one of my dark areas. All right. We got some water. We're going to drop in the braids. I'm going to switch this around, make sure my nib is nice and dry and clean. Put in some of the gray values. Really quick, just gonna get some of these pencils out of the way. Now, the way I do it is I use the same water that I used to rinse off my nib to create my gray values. So that same, I guess, dirty ink water is what I use for my values here. And this is just like a little preliminary. This is just me pulling out some shapes. Because after that, I'm dropping in like the heavy, like blacks. And then I'll finish it off with the bands, the metal bands in his skin. So you want to take your time, right? In this part of the piece, you want to take your time, just kind of drop in your grays. I'm using the same water I used to rinse off my dip pen, right? Because I want to have a little more control in how those grays are gonna translate, right? That if I were to drop in my heavier blacks before my grays and I try to go over it with a wet brush, odds are those grays are gonna come out too dark for what I'm trying to do here. So I want to try to control that as best as I can by minimizing the amount of ink that's going to be on the paper, but still pulling out some softer shapes. So this part I treat it the way I would my watercolor, right? I'm just kind of building up my layers. So here I'm just kind of dropping in all of my grays. I'm going to build it up to blocking in some heavier blacks. Right here, where I'm getting some smoke kind of coming out of the side of the sentinel. Push a little gray in there. Push a little bit of gray. Right in here as well. Let that mist out a little bit. All right. So now it's time for the blacks. And that brush. And this is a Pentel pocket brush. It's one of my favorite brushes to use for this type of work. Because the ink stays relatively wet when you apply it for like a longer period of time. So you're able to get some cool effects by smudging this ink. So now what I'm doing is just blocking in some of the darker black. In the metallic skin. Get a lot of these little terminal lines in to really drive home the texture of his skin.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Happy New Year to you.
Now right in here, we're gonna block in some harder black in here. Boom. Right. Get some of that in there. The good thing about, in my opinion, inking characters like Colossus is, when you drop in these big black areas, you're not tethered to being super super clean. They can be like big blobs because of the way his skin is set up. Right in here, we're gonna drop a nice big shadow. Get some shadow work in here. Get some underneath the belt. Once again, thank you for everybody popping in on the stream rather. Stream. Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you guys stopping in to hang out with me real quick when you're on this Monday night. And watching me illustrate this commission piece of Colossus. We're going to do more of these streams once I can lock in a schedule that that works, for being able to stream and like bounce all the other stuff I do. We push a little bit in here. Because that's going to be a closed fist. Get a terminal line here around the end. 1, 2, 3. And then 4 right there. So now we'll push some darker shadows into some of these mechanisms in the background. Let's get in here. Chris Borman, what's up, brother? Happy New Year to you. Nothing much on my end, just, out here grinding. Out here grinding. Let's push this into shadow. So now, I think we are almost ready to knock out the background. So we can finish off this Colossus. Now that's inked in, grab my eraser. Clean this area up a little bit. Now I'm going to do that Jim Lee thing, that Jim Lee Ryan Benjamin thing, and start smearing my ink. But I need a good piece of tissue. This will do. There we go. So, like I mentioned, the ink in this brush stays wet for like a really, really long time. So, you want to get in here and just kind of get some of these big dark areas filled in. We're in the home stretch here. Just kind of creating a little bit of an atmosphere with the background. Repeated trick. I'm gonna smooth out, smudge out some of those edges while the ink is wet. So your eye is forced to focus in on your subject, which in this case is Colossus. This brush might be running out of ink. All right. Now that all of my heavy blacks are in, we can kind of finish this bad boy off with some small details and maybe a little bit of white ink for that extra zhuzh, as it were. Now, as I'm dropping in the bands, I'm also breaking up the lines to convey those highlights, right? Those highlights in the peak of the muscle shape there. I waited until now to do it. I wanted those bands to come in nice and crisp. See that in there. Drop a little terminal line in the tatter. Continue the pattern on the other side. Get back in here in the back of the arm. Right. Let's see here. Really, all we're missing here is little bit of cast shadow.
See the smaller details.
Really, this is just some light work right now, some light detail work, so that tank top and all the tatters in the tank top read like they're supposed to. Some hatching in areas that I may have missed the first time around. It looks like we're almost done. Just need to add some small gray values in certain areas. All right, now let's get the ink. I'm gonna add a little bit of white ink in just some key areas, like right there, right here. Side of his head here. Thumb here. Here. And follow it up with this little brush. And then in some of the gray spots, drop some little glares. Right there. There. Here.
What's going on? What's going on? Appreciate you popping in on the stream. Almost done with this bad boy right here. It's Colossus commission piece. Almost done here. Feel like I can push a little more shadow into that spot there. Yeah, I think that would call it. Just a little more shadow in here. And I think that'll do it. So here it is. This was tonight's commission piece, Colossus of the X-Men. All right, black and white. Just straight shimmy ink, some pencil, a little bit of white ink for some accents. But here he is. So if you guys go to my Instagram, I'll be posting the high-res image of this piece on my IG. The Instagram handle is, as you see it there on the screen, at Wild Inks Ken. Right? And from there, you'll see the rest of all the rest of my social stuff. All right. So tune in next Monday for episode 3 of the Lead Poison live stream here on Twitch. And yeah, happy New Year, guys. And I'll see you next time. Be good.